Are you afraid of God?
No. But I'm afraid of you.
Are you going to just sit there?
As compared to what? Standing?
Not standing, rowing.
Rowing? Hadn't planned on it.
So you expect me to shoulder
What's
the
this?
burden?
No. But I do expect you to do all the rowing.
And why is that?
Coming here was your idea.
My idea?
I've made it very clear that I don't believe in the exercise.
The rowing?
No. Imagine that's wonderful exercise.
Then what?
The entire thought experiment.
Excuse me. How much longer?
One goes into an experiment knowing one could fail.
But one does not undertake an experiment knowing one has failed.
Can we get back to the rowing?
I suggest you do, but we're never going to get there.
No, I mean I'd greatly appreciate it if you would assist.
Perhaps you should ask him. I imagine he has a greater interest in getting there than I do.
I suppose he does, but there's no point in asking.
Why not?
Because he doesn't row.
He doesn't row?
No, he doesn't row.
Ah, I see what you mean. We've arrived. Shall we tell him when we'll be returning?
Would that change anything?
We might give him some comfort.
At least that's something we can agree on.
Hey! Somebody meeting me here?
I'd certainly hope so.
It does seem like a dreadful place to be stranded.
Well, maybe there's someone inside. Excuse me, it's Booker DeWitt. I guess you're expecting me? Is anyone here? Hello? Shit. Wait a minute, that card. What in the world is... expect me to sit in their fancy chair. So now... What the hell? Go!
Make yourself ready, Pilgrim. The bindings are there as a safeguard.
No, no, God damn it!
Ascension. Ascension in the count of 5. Count of 4.
No.
3, 2, 1.
No!
Ascension. Ascension.
Just stay calm.
5,000 feet. 10,000 feet. 15,000 feet. Hallelujah.
Seed of the prophet. Excuse me, where am I?
Heaven, friend. Or as close as we'll see till Judgment Day.
Just keep such questions to myself, unless I want to get made.
And every year, on this day of days, we recommit ourselves to our city and to our prophet, Father Comstock. We recommit through sacrifice and the giving of thanks, and by submerging ourselves in the sweet waters of baptism. And lo, if the prophet had struck down our enemies at wounded knee, and not railed against the Sodom beneath us, it would have been enough. If the prophet had just railed against the Sodom beneath us, but not accepted the 3 golden gifts of the founders, it would have been enough. If the prophet had just accepted the 3 golden gifts of the founders and not prayed for our deliverance, it would have been enough. If the prophet had only prayed for our deliverance and not led us to this new Eden. Is it someone new? Someone from the Sodom below, newly come to Columbia to be watered clean before our prophet, our founders, and our Lord?
I just need passage into the city.
Passage to the city. Brother, the only way to Columbia is through rebirth in the sweet waters of baptism. Will you be cleansed, brother?
Hey, I'm just looking to pass through.
Go on, brother.
Praise be to the founders. Glory be to the glory be.
It's either this or turn around and get back on that rocket.
Hey.
I baptize you in the name of our prophet, in the name of our founders, and the name of our Lord. I don't know, brothers and sisters, but this one doesn't look clean to me.
Who's there? Who's there?
Bring us the girl and wipe away the debt.
What do you want?
We had a deal to it. Open this door right now.
I told you. I'm not gonna do it. Go away.
Mr. DeWitt! Mr. DeWitt!
That idiot priest needs to learn the difference between baptizing a man and drowning one. I need to find a landmark and figure out where the hell I am.
Hello everyone, welcome to Let's Play Bioshock Infinite. This is the game that won the poll you guys voted in for which game I should LP next, and yeah, sorry, that was a very long sort of intro period with no commentary over it, even with gameplay. But there are just a lot of parts in this game that I think are good and deserve to just stand on their own and speak for themselves, both the story and dialogue parts and just the atmosphere and setting. And speaking of which, I'm going to shut up again for just a second here.
Waterfall and everything. Just morning.
Good to see you.
I bet we could have something.
Just wanted to give a moment to look at this because it's very nice. Yeah, this is, to me, this game has some of the best, like, art direction of any game of the last, like, decade. I really love the look of it. Columbia is an extremely interesting and detailed environment for this game to take place in. If you are unfamiliar with this game and you're watching it for the first time here and, you know, you're just looking at everything as it is right now, including what's on the screen right now currently, you'll tell that as far as what to expect for this game, there's quite a bit of symbolism around things like religion, sort of turn of the 20th century American exceptionalism and nationalism, and all that comes with it. You have this self-described prophet. Obviously, the reason that I'm going to be leaving a lot of parts uncommentated over is because there's all sorts of things outside of just the normal, back and forth dialogue. There's no cutscenes, but essentially what are like cinematic parts of it that you don't really have much control over. Outside of that, there's stuff like the Voxophones, which I believe are a thing in the first Bioshock game, and these kinetoscopes that sort of give you some fleshing out of the setting and how it came to be, and later on we'll find Voxophones about, how specific characters' fates ended up the way that they were. But all is very clearly not as it seems in this world of this game. And people who are familiar with the Bioshock series will not be all that surprised by the heavy use of this sort of, 20th century, kind of, I don't want to quite say Americana because that has a lot of very specific connotations, but how the Bioshock used sort of Art Deco while talking about stuff like objectivism. Well, this is talking about turn-of-the-century exceptionalism and nationalism. I just had to stop for that. I love a good barbershop quartet, Those are always really cool. And an interesting little thing here to put at the very beginning, this very clearly anachronistic song in this game that's supposed to be taking place in 1912. And that will have something to do with a couple of characters that we're going to meet soon. Not this Goonie telegram child who never shows up again, to my knowledge. Lutess, yeah, that last name there. That's gonna be important. Yeah, I'm gonna try to keep everything about where this story goes under wraps for the people that are watching that don't know all the big twists and everything and reveals that happen, but I mean, maybe it's just because I've played through this game before, but everything is pretty well established. All the seeds are planted, I think, kind of obviously, which is not a complaint. I mean, everything is very clear. I think the story in this game is very well written, certainly more well written and more effectively realized than a lot of other video game stories, and specifically like first-person shooter game stories. Yeah. There are problems with it, of course. I'll get to them, when they come up. We'll have plenty of time to talk about everything in this game. This is kind of a rapid fire going through this area here. I'm not going to play the minigame. But yeah, the Vox Populi, they're sort of the anarchist rebel group of Colombia. The people, mostly racial minorities and poor, who have been exploited by this place that was created, as you'll see in some kinetoscopes and stuff, that it was this prophet Zachary Comstock, who I'm sure you've seen and heard mentioned enough times by now. I just missed a Voxophone, I just noticed. That's always a bummer. I miss a couple. I don't think they have anything to do with like your completion or anything, but they're interesting. They flesh out the story. They were put there for a reason. Some of them are kind of redundant. You can kind of gather the information, or it's literally spelled out for you later on. And the Handyman is one of the more fucked up enemies in the game. Yeah, like, big spoiler, that's an enemy in the game.
Have you ever seen anything like it?
He looks so sad.
Sad? When you're that strong, what's there to be sad about?
I thought that line was significant. I don't know why. But anyway, here's some Vigors. This is a thing, I forget what they're called. Aren't they called, like, Atom or something in the original Bioshock? But they're, basically the mechanism by which Columbia managed to get their hands on these technologies will be revealed over time. And this is some creepy shit right here. I love that. Yeah, also, if you are familiar with the Bioshock franchise, you probably won't be surprised to know that this game has some sort of horror elements in it, and everything is peachy keen so far. Well, except for that dude with the bullet in his head, and like the bag over his head in the lighthouse. But yeah, some rather shocking and graphic violence to be had here, as well as some shocking racism and xenophobia. It is a story about America in the 1910s, that, you know, all things considered. But yeah, this is the possession vigor, which allows you to make machines obey you. Like so. I never think to use it in battle. There are several times that you'll see later on where I'm fighting machines and don't think to do it, and I should going forward. But I've recorded several videos of this, like, already, gameplay-wise, and yeah.
Told you. I never find that as satisfying as I'd imagined.
Chin up. There's always next time.
I suppose there is.
Yeah, none of that makes sense now. It will later. Knowing what that is, it's really wild and very obvious to me. But, of course, it's only obvious once you know what it is, so... But yeah, one of the reasons I'm excited to do this game is because it is ripe with theming to talk about. A lot of it, on the surface sort of level of it, is pretty obvious.
Just fine to me. Mary, you are a living, walking scandal.
Hopefully we can have a little bit of a back and forth. I by no means have like a coherent thesis of, you know, how everything in this game comes together, but hopefully between the commentary and the comments, people sharing their thoughts, we can have a really interesting time diving into this game.
Beauty? The whole division got them. If we're gonna flush the Vox out of the Skyline system, we gotta have the best.
They got any openings in the group? I'd love to bust some Vox skill.
Yeah, we got some curiosities happening. And here's a Voxophone that I, for some reason, just don't play. I use the controller for this first part just because you get more fluid camera movements that way, and showing off these big vistas at the beginning of the game is cool. And you'll find quickly, by the way, that I love searching for shit. I'm a big hoarder in games like this where you get to, like, open up barrels and, you know, search bodies and take their shit and everything. And I mean, you need to, you know, keep your stuff up to snuff and everything. I am by no means, this won't surprise anybody who watches my videos, that I'm by no means, like, the most tactical player of this game. I mostly just use the guns. I try to make use of the vigors, but I mostly just have, like, 2 or 3 that work well for me in most cases that I just make use of. And the game is pretty forgiving about a lot of stuff with the combat, which I know is a lot of people's least favorite thing about this game. It's certainly less polished than the story, which itself has problems, but again, we'll get into that. Here we have some real shit to attend to.
Sorry, no sale.
Silly? There's never a charge for the raffle. You've been sleeping under a rock?
77.
77. That's a lucky number. I'll be rooting for you.
Bring me the bowl! Is that not the prettiest young white girl in all of Columbia? All right then. The winner is number 77!
Oh, what do you know?
Number 77, come and claim your prize! First throw!
It was me! It was all me! Please! Please! Please, what are you doing?
Come on! Are you gonna throw it? Or are you taking your coffee black these days?
I'm the one you want!
like we've got a shy one here.
That's something for
We've got to do something about... Wait! It's him!
Now, where'd you get that brand, boy? Don't you know that makes you the backstabbing snake in the grass false shepherd?
And we ain't letting no false shepherd into our flock. Show them what we got planned, boys!
Hell yeah. So yeah, now we have the thing, and it's our only weapon, but I'm gonna get a gun in a second. And yeah, you can also do this like execution thing where you can do these extremely gruesome finishing moves with your sky hook, which I think that's what's called, the sky hook. Which is a really cool weapon. I like it. I mean, it's like you know, with the sort of bio-steampunk setting of all of this, of all the, like, technology in it, where it's kind of a mixture of steampunk stuff and biotech, and also, not to get too spoilery, but we're gonna be getting into some quantum theory in this bitch. There's another Voxophone I missed. I'm an idiot. And yeah, here's like a perfect situation where you could use the possession thing with these machine guns, but I never think of them as machines, I just think of them as big guns that you have to blow up. It fits with the with those themes, the skyhook, and a lot of the tech in this is cool. And I think I had another point earlier before that barbershop quartet was singing. This was good. I got a lot of good little headshots in here. I personally find the combat to be mostly pretty satisfying. Like, Bioshock is the game that I think the combat is a little bit more one note to me. The only criticism of the combat that I understand in this is that it doesn't develop a whole lot, even as they introduce new vigors and things. You mostly have access to the same weapons for the vast majority of the game, yeah, I mean, you don't have to come up with all that many strategies to get through most parts. But I think it's fun. I think there's enough variety between your melee weapon, the guns, and the vigors, and later on, when we're not just doing this, you know, walking and hiding behind something and then shooting combat, there's other stuff, like when we get on the skyline, which, I mean, I'm not going to bother explaining what it is, you're just going to see what it is soon, so, but yeah, we're about to be introduced to one of our first annoying machine enemies who is immune to possession, which is the fireman. What he does is probably pretty obvious, but you'll see here.
It's getting hot. What's going on?
Fire in the name of our prophet. I don't really know what the best course of action for this guy is other than just shoot him a lot, but that's what I am normally doing. And then yeah, at some point he suicides. And yeah, there you go. If anyone wants to tell me any specifics of how enemies and weapons, like what weapons are good for what things, I've never known that. I'm just a trial and error guy, and I go with what feels good to use. You know, I pick two guns that are nice. And this is pretty over the top. This is pretty gruesome. I mean, it just makes you, like, throw fireballs. I don't know why they needed all that shit. But yeah, there's basically, like, otherworldly, like, interdimensional technologies that the founders of Columbia, i.e. Comstock, appropriated and sent over here, as well as the technology of how the city is floating in the first place. And again, all those details will, you know, be discussed more prominently later on. But yeah, fighting these cops, picking off these cops is fun. It's a good intro to everything else. You'll be fighting much tougher enemies throughout the game. I don't know if you know this, but most video games, they get harder as they go along, and you have to complete various tasks until it's over. But anyway, so we're just about wrapping up this first video here. I hope that this has been a decent intro. I feel like I haven't said anything. I haven't really got to talk about this game or like why I like it and why I'm doing it in the first place or my relationship with it, but you know, a lot of opening stuff to get through. I also have like pudding brain, as you all know, in the first place, so we're gonna go in here, and next time we'll clear things up a little bit, learn a little bit more about what we're doing here. So see you then for that.